Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So a lot of you guys have been asking me to try mages, and I haven't played mages before. However, I've seen quite a lot of mages being played in the meta over the last couple months. This is going to be the first time that I go and I try and play mages for myself. So there might be a couple of mistakes and whatnot in the video. I'll point things out as they happen so that you guys can understand basically the proper sequencing. But overall, we have tons of games here with tons of insight, and I've played against mages enough to understand how they pilot. So it's not complete nonsense plays. I think it's still very good in this case. And we were able to go from rank 2 full mosaic to pro rank in one sitting of play. So I believe that this is going to be pretty strong in the meta for this season, and this is probably going to be my go-to Northern Realms deck this season because I had a lot of fun doing it. It doesn't feel toxic, it feels fair compared to all the other stuff that's going on right now. This plays very well into Kelly in my opinion, surprisingly. It plays very well into a lot of the matchups that don't really interact with what we're doing. I had a good time playing against Lippy, which was also, pretty easy there because they're just looking at their tempo and, we want that long round so we can just play and eventually outdo them in the long round. So really interesting stuff there. Some of the matchups that you might have some trouble with are going to probably be Frost because we have a lot of Rolock cards and we don't want them to be pushed around by the Frost in the bruisers and stuff like that, right? So it makes a big difference there. Another matchup that's going to be pretty difficult, I can anticipate, I didn't have the chance to play, would be Enslave, especially Enslave 6. We have a lot of things that we want to keep on the board that are going to be getting value over time. With all the 4, 5, 6 point removal that they have, the ability to seize cards, it's going to be kind of ugly for us. So those are two to look out for, but pretty much everything else, we have a wide variety of matchups today and they're all pretty good. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of the cards and we'll get into the games here, but we have Amphibious to help pull cards from our deck. This is going to be pulling our bronze cards, so ideally we're going to be looking for one of the students. If it's early on in the game, we want to establish the patience, and we're going to be looking for alumni if it's later on in the game so that we can get our payoff. And so it makes a huge difference of just being able to pull these out in round 3 with Amphibious and get that huge point slam that we worked so hard for the whole game. Now, Chapter Wizards is great. You can use this card as a dry pass card in round 2 to get a carryover click for round 3, or you can just use them both in the same round. But we play a Rune Word, and then we spawn the last copy of an Allied Bronze Mage on the row, the one that we played. So if we get a bad spawn off the Rune Word, we can just go and we can play something good from hand, like an Alumni there, and then click it to get a second one. So that makes quite a big difference. The Gerhardt is a phenomenal card in this meta, and I feel like if you're playing any Northern Realms deck at all this season, there should be some room to try and put this card in the deck, simply because if we can get it to Patience 5, the Order Create, and play a 5 provision spell at that point, we're getting cards like Will-O-Wisp, and we're getting cards like Artifact Compression, one of which is destroy a doomed unit, the other one is to lock and reset a unit. This plays phenomenal into Kelly matchups. It plays really good into any monster matchup basically because there's a lot of the Witch's Sabbath going around to bring cards with the Doom status, but we're also getting the Syndicate matchup, which is still very strong. They have Doomed on the Frightener, so getting a really inexpensive kill is great. Artifact Compression's also great, or we can just greed it out for another Rune Word. So there's plenty options there with the Gerhardt, and it plays for only 11 provisions, so it's a solid card. And Shani, it's one of those things where if it's in round 1 and we want to play it, we can bring back maybe cards that got destroyed so we can keep working on the patience. If it's round 3, maybe we play an Alumni or 2 early, and round 2 as a bleed or something like that, or we just keep playing if we're getting bled, and then we can bring them back anyways with Shani in round 3. So it makes a big difference of just being able to recycle the hard work that we've got, time and time again with the alumni. And Rafford's is ideally one of the cards that you want to get out early in round 1, just because it has phenomenal engine value when you play soldiers next to it or you play mages next to it. You're getting the crew ability of being able to just randomly distribute damage by 2, so having that there is pretty cool, but it also helps thin the deck out quite well, so we can play a lot of these bronzes so that end game we have more of our cards. Now this deck is known for not being overly consistent beyond having the John, and the Amphibious normally, and obviously relying on pulling Raffords now because you can't get it with Amphibious, so that makes a big difference. Some people are putting in King Henselt, but I opted to go for Istredd because Istredd got the buff, so Istredd's going to really help with the consistency issue that the deck did have, and I don't think it's too expensive fit in the slot here. It also has a patience ability, so again, we're able to pull up to however many cards are in its patience. So if we're going into round 3 and the patience is at 5, for example, it makes a big difference because you can just go take the 5 cards, get what we're missing, and then play it. And I think that can ultimately win games. I know sometimes people are putting in the Envoys, but Istredd is not too bad for 6p. If I was looking to swap it out, I'd probably put the Margarita, just because it's 6 for 6, it's a lock, it's devotion, it works. That's certainly an option as well. You can maybe opt for Purify, but I would probably go for the lock if I was looking to substitute that. But so far I've been liking Istredd. It can play for a point slam, but it can also just play for saving the game and getting the cards that you need, like Chapter of Wizards, cards that you can't tutor, the more expensive ones. So I like it there. And Defender just needs to be there. Greedy deck, of course. Adalia is good, it can give us what we need. Generally, we're going to be going for an Alumni with the Adalia, but if we're playing it to heavy control, we might have to go for something like one of these students, just so that we can actually, again, work on the payoff here. Because if we're playing into control, these need to have Zeal, otherwise they just won't stick. So that's the big thing with the Alumni. Now, Letitia got, I don't want to say rework, I want to say a fix. It was kind of busted before, but they fixed it now, so we're just adding additional patience with the counter of this for a turn to the ones that have patience on them. So it's cool. It's just for one turn, not every turn. So that's kind of, I think, the change that was made to that there. It still demands removal. It's not a crazy big threat. It doesn't do as much as it used to do by any means. But if I can add another 2 patience to 2 more cards, then this card's actually not too bad for 7 provisions. So that's the way I look at it. It's just getting a little bit of a payoff and, you know, posing a threat to the opponent, giving them something else to focus on other than these students that are hard at work. So that's basically it there. We have Casting Contest, which is able to boost the unit by 5, reset its order, and give it Zeal. So we want to use this ideally on the Alumni, but we can also use it on the students or the Marines, so I opt to have the pairs there. You definitely don't want to use it on the Spellweaver because that would be kind of sad, but even that could happen if you really need to. And then Winch is good for the cooldown, so this is going to help reduce the cooldown by 3 on units that have cooldown. If you notice here, we have 2 units that have cooldown, being Shanny and Raffords, so you can play this however which way you want. If you want to get more cards out of your deck, use Raffords. If you want to get more cards out of your graveyard, use Shanny. Simple, right? It all depends on what you're looking for in this case, so it has that flexibility there. And then Practice Makes Perfect is a little bit of a recomp. So it's, you know, one of those things that it doesn't hurt to have, but I don't normally play. So shuffle an allied Bronze Mage to your deck and play a random Bronze Mage. I don't like the random ability. Increase the boost by 1 for each patience you play. So if we have something that's damaged in round 3, let's say we've had a lot of patience, we can get maybe like a 1-point Centurion and just shuffle that back in the deck, pull something else, and then have it boosted by 5 or 6 or whatever. So in those types of events, it's really good. Or if for whatever reason we miss an Alumni, it's pretty good. I find Istredd overall helps solve that problem, but we do have that one last bit of backup. And then we talked about the students, damage and boost, and the Carrick Marine, solid card. One of my favorite devotion cards for Northern Realms. Basically able to just play this for 3 points, get the 4 points boost on something, keeps something important safe, 7 for 4, you can't go wrong there. So that's pretty much the deck, and like I mentioned, we'll go into the games here and expect an update on this one. Expect a more of a try-hard update, some pro-rank play this season on this deck at some point, because I do think it's worth revisiting. And if you enjoy the content that you see today, definitely check out my other videos, sub to the channel, and drop a comment and let me know what you guys want to see in the future so I can keep making content that you guys like. Let's get into the games here. And for the first game, we got Nilfgaard Double Cross. So generally, I don't want to have the alumni in round 1, so we want to take the mulligans back on those if possible, because they won't get their value until we've established the patience for them. We have one more mulligan here. I can't say I love casting contest, or the practice makes perfect rather, but that should just be fine. We tuck it back. Casting contest as well is something that I like to have a bit later, but we do have a marine which we could reuse it on in round 1 if we have to, so it's not all bad.
Do not vex me with this futile attempt at escape.
And so we want to prioritize getting down the patience engines. If I have a choice, I like to put the student on melee first, because I figure the damage is a little bit more valuable to me than boost. Especially in a very greedy meta right now, where you have tons of engines and stuff you want to remove. It definitely helps here. Now, it's unfortunate that we don't get Raffords in round 1, and we don't have another student, so we're not going to be able to get the Zeal on the alumni if we can't draw into that. So, a little bit frustrating here. There's consideration to take Shani to bring it back. We really want to get some good alumni for this game. And we do have Winch in hand for Shani as well, so that's a big consideration. Should they remove something else, we can take the Winch, we can go and we can bring it back.
True love could lift the curse, but who would love such a freak?
Everyone has their secrets. Everyone.
Spellwaver's not bad here. Spellwaver's also not great here. Defender might be kind of nice, but maybe we want to save that for something a bit more important behind it. I'm just thinking, if we don't put it here though, then when we play some of our cards, they have the ability to take them, and honestly, Shani's one of those ones where I really don't want them to take it. Gerhardt's one of those ones where it's going to be pretty bad if they take it as well. So Defender is not as bad. And we'll just keep that one safe, because like I said, that one's the priority here. So we do have a option for the Shani, but it won't be able to be spawned on the correct row. So that's the only pitfall for that. We'll take this here. On the pass, I think we play Gerhardt. And we just bring that out.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
We want to get as much patience as possible here on the front too, so Then I'll take round by 1. Patience is good. 7 and 6. Now we want to start finding those alumni. So we have Adalia for 1. We have the casting contest to renew it. I've got John into Amphibious for another. Spellweaver's not great, but Alumni's perfect. And what I do want is Chapter. We definitely want to have our location here. Perfect. So we don't go for a 2-0. So 2 castings, that can go back because we've already established the patience. We don't really want to bring those out in round 3. Marine's not bad. John can go for Amphibious, so we can put down Letitia, but I don't think it really matters with Letitia here, unless we go John into Amphibious into something that's going to have patience. But if we play Letitia, then it might provoke removal, which is actually kind of good. Rafford's here is kind of nice too.
Their kingdoms will collapse like sand.
So they took the Geralt. I think it's funny. I really do. I was playing Vilgefortz when it was 6 power, same provision. And it gets a 2 base power buff, and then now everyone wants to play it. I think it's kind of funny. If I was looking back, this is like something where I should have or could have probably put Raffords on melee.
And who you address, and how you address them.
Just because I want to take damage here in most cases.
We didn't come here to build sandcastles.
And we're losing that crew that's going to give us that random damage. So
Magic is all around. You need
now we do have a couple cards we could play on melee, however. It adds up. And before this season, I haven't really played a lot of mages at all. I've played against them non-stop for that one season, but this is my actual full-blown mages deck first time ever. And you guys wanted to see it. I enjoyed playing it. I was inspired from Big Cuckoo Rosina at the Gwent World Masters Season 3. He brought an alumni deck, had the craziest comeback I've probably seen in a tournament setting, and I wanted to play it for myself. I don't know if I don't know how this compares to his exact version. I have Istredd in here. I don't think he did. There's a couple other probably little changes, but What kind of worries me here is if they have that the Gerhard that's gonna climb up to like 9, 10 throughout the round, they're getting a curse or a heat wave or something crazy, so it makes me not want to take damage or take boosts on our own units.
You will not regret this, good sir. A shame I have no time.
We don't care too much about using the winch. Just because we don't have a lot more to play from hand. Here, we'll take something like that.
Rubbish in
I want to play beside it.
pass and forget. Not I.
I'm glad we got to ping off that shield. Now we can really just go in and get rid of that defender if we need to. So what we'll have to do here is we'll have to Adalia, and then we have to play the alumni with the Adalia, and then we can play the other alumni on the same turn.
And if I insert a needle here, what then?
But before that we can chapter, because then we'll get the, like an extra one guaranteed. That's a good high roll.
Our hands.
Trust me though, every single time I'm playing a card and it's not to the right or left of Raffords, it's bothering me a little bit. However, we have a lot of cards we're playing, so I'm looking at it right now, and if we stacked melee that aggressively, minus we'd obviously bring down the chapter, put that on ranged, but we'd be running out of space here anyways at some point throughout the round.
Destiny is unswerving. Cheated. It will not be.
Why do they not fall?
Feels bad to waste the damage, but I think we need to. And that's just a lot of value. We want to get rid of that for sure. Just plug this in here. And we get rid of the 6. That's an assembly engine.
An honor.
So now we pretty much have it.
A fine vintage you would have made.
A lot of the damage has been done. They still have the Raffords, which is a little bit annoying. Drop to 7. The Istred's just good to find cards that we missed, but in this event, it doesn't really feel like we missed much. And I just have to respect the fact that they might use Tall Punish, and if they put it on the 9, then I lose the extra points. So I decide there to go ahead and take... We'll get rid of Winch.
Wager I can cast from with me foot.
5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we're being completely correct here, I think that the Marine was more points. 3, well, the 4 plus the 3 boost plus the 2 from the crew in the back.
Arms is nothing you choose. Dare not.
But it was so big of a lead that I was just playing cards at that point.
Not all battles need end in
Now we have going into rank 1 here. This is basically finishing up rank 2 and going straight to rank pro in this video. We put back the alumni in round 1. Again, can't say I love the winch, but it's good for the Raffords. We don't necessarily love the casting contest here. Spellweavers are pretty good, but we want to have... well, we want to have another patience engine for ranged. We really want to get one of each. And you guessed it, it's one of those decks. I was intrigued by this. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Shit, how'd that go?
We want to get the student out there quick. I have a couple winches for the Raffords, so I felt like playing it second is not all bad. It will probably get poisoned.
As you command.
So we don't really want to boost it up too much here. I do have a defender though. So maybe we can get the 1 poison and then
The hounds have got us.
put down the defender.
Coat of arms is
Oh, that's a
nothing you
throw.
choose. Dare not mock mine.
So I can tell you as the matches go on here, my Rafford's placement has been a lot more effective. But provided that this is something I don't really play, it was one of those things where the first couple games were a little shaky, but we get into some pretty serious matchups as the video goes on, so it's good that I'm just seeing it as a reminder and I'm just pointing it out so you guys know. So they're dealing with whole scenario and megascopes for the dames. It's pretty interesting.
I am here to lend a helping hand.
I kind of like the whole megascope and dames thing.
Your wish, my duty.
We have no reason not to play.
Scrub this, scrub that, for fuck's sake. I'm sick of these tunes.
So we're able to see Cadaverin, Yennefer's Invocation, Masquerade Ball. A lot of these good cards are out of the way. Petrie's Filter is really good too here. Now, when I see Petrie's Filter, I'm thinking, okay, Stefan for Cadaverin, or Damien, or you could go with Vachier, right? These three are really big things that you'd want to play with Petrie's for Nilfgaard. So we kind of want to see that. So I'm trying to see if I can trade some bronzes to get the result that we're looking for. And I don't want to boost anything with status because then it plays into Vincent. That's a pretty good treason.
I could be your great-grandfather's great-grandfather.
Reset and plays, probably not enough points. Pact is probably a bit better. At this point, everything's gonna have status, so we'll just go ahead and boost something else, and we'll just kind of at least kill off one engine.
The revolution is inevitable.
So here goes this defense. Now, trust me, I wanted to throw a winch and just see if we can get some of their cards played. But if they pass on us here, we don't have the points. So we have to just go ahead here and pass. Defend the bleed. I think we got some pretty big commitments for round 1 of the opponent. We need more units. So, I take a chapter here because the carryover.
You've met your match.
This game's not really running as perfect because we're trying to establish patience in round 3, so it gets a little bit awkward. We'll put back the assault, grab a winch. I think that's fine.
Severed limbs, blood, and gut.
Did you see that? Anything alive would be dead now. Killer spell.
So we'll go with 2 of them. The biggest thing here is to start just actually getting patience down. And with the leader that they have, I'm actually pretty worried that we won't get the opportunity to use a lot of these engines. See if we can greet out patience on the back. I have to use that, respect the fact that they have a card that is doing damage every single turn. Even if it's overkill, it's technically pretty good still because we have 6 more cards in their hand. The defender makes it very difficult for us.
Hides at Sodden will tan their black-clad hides again.
So we have to get around the armor. There's a line where we go for another student. There's a line where we just go for an alumni.
Dark clouds gather over to Miriam.
Magic is all around. You need but reach out and grasp it.
Okay, so I guess I was thinking Letitia here because then they would potentially leader that instead of one of the students. It's interesting.
Obey your master.
No, we have to use Letitia early though. Because they didn't swap. I'm surprised they didn't take that when they saw it.
But we shall prevail.
And we have to use the order, unfortunately. It doesn't work out in our favor because we're playing into the Master of Puppets. So if we leave it pending for the patience, then they take it. If we don't click Letitia, they take it anyways.
Dance,
With their
my
leader.
lovelies. Dance.
So I think that their deck was a tech for the hand buff meta. Or, I don't want to say meta, but the hand buff decks. Because they have a lot of bronzes that go tall. And I'm pretty sure it just makes some sense there. They do it at the end of the game. Take that. We don't want to boost any bronzes. Because we know that they're going to be able to take them.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing when I describe something.
If I'm in a situation like this again, though, what I'll do with the Letitia is I'll just let it go and keep it there. Use the other student anyways, and then just save the Letitia for the Istredd, because we'd be able to get a couple more points off of the Istredd pull value when we increase the patience that way. So there is that too.
Break something and I'll break something too. I'll break you.
Because we would have had, yeah, like maximum, we would have been able to draw 6.
There is but one punishment.
But it's another one of those games where it's looking pretty good regardless, because they go and they'll take something from me, and I'll just take something else from them.
We have each other's backs. That's more than most.
So we use the order, put it over there, and then we can just go and take the most points. You see what I mean? We would have drawn more, so we would have got the extra boost. But at this point, it really wasn't all that close. There's a little bit of more margin for error and experimentation at rank 1 than there would be in Pro, I would say.
The key is not
So going on to the next one here, we have Overwhelming Hunger. So I really don't like my castings and my alumni in round 1. But that's much better. The problem here is that we have to play into things like Mana Core, Maruna, right? They have really good reach for removal for the first couple cards that we play. Parasite can even kill this. And so immediately you know what that is, right? It's going to be the Madoc printer deck. think the deck's cool. I don't think it's very strong compared to some of the other ones that are going around. If it works, it works well. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's what I mean. So we'll just put this down, get that started. They could probably just purify that. There we go. It makes it a nightmare, though, to put down these engines for sure.
We need sleep. Another test. So soon.
How do you prepare for that? You can't. That's too bad. But we just keep playing cards at this point. Problem is, we go first, and we have to get out of the round. And we need our patience cards.
I am here to lend a helping hand.
So I opt not to click that, because if they click Madoc back row and want to remove that, they have to use another bomb plus to click, so it's not really that good to remove the back card. And so it begins. We don't have an answer to it. This would be an effective pass, but we do have a little bit more room to play. And generally with mages, you want to play as long as you actually can, because we want to get that patience up. That's where all the value comes from. So we don't want to go for the early pass in round 1. Opponents know this. So we'll just keep playing cards. And
Of course.
I opt to click it there because we want to have a little bit of presence in the round. We have a couple mages we can play. Even just cramming down another one here would be fine.
How did I fare, Mistress Letitia? Well this time, yes?
I don't want those pings from the Madoc, and we don't really want to kill this either. So we'll just chisel things down and play it for just points. I think that's as far as we can go. I'm hoping that they have to spend something a little bit expensive here. But obviously with the Madoc coming out, it just gives them the extra point. With the token spawning, doesn't make it easy anyways. So they were able to get 2 Madocs here, which is okay. The alumni aren't looking so good just yet, though. And so, when I saw them jam down Haunt here, I was actually kind of worried because I'm looking at the hand that we have, and it's alright, but we haven't done what we need to do as far as carryover.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing when I prescribe something.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
just really pushing here. So we know that's out of the way. If we put down the student, we might have to take a leader charge here just to keep it out of reach of the Maruna. Puts us in a spot where they at least get their card back. So that tempo is pretty bad.
We saw their cities, delicate as if woven from the morning mist.
I think it's always packed on the 3. That laugh's kind of wild here. Especially if they use it twice. It's 24 points, I believe, with leader on 2 turns. Wait. Yeah, there's 2 of them. So it'd be 6, 12. And then the third one comes back. 18, 3 by 2 off the leader. They didn't take the leader for it, though, which is a little bit better for us. It's nice that I do have reach with the amphibious though. Makes a big difference here. So on a pass we should just be able to take amphibious, be able to save the Adalia and the alumni. I pulled the student because I don't want the student in round 3. We want to have a bit higher plays in round 3. I'm just trying to decide if I want to take the alumni, or sorry, the zeal on it to get the extra points for the carryover into the round so that we don't have to boost it and then the alumni gets zeal, or do we just give the alumni the charge from the leader? I think it's better just to give the alumni the charge from the leader, and the second one will have a shield, so it's not as bad. Casting's good, Rafford's good. I have to greed it out a little bit more here because if we take zeal on the Raffords, then we don't get the zeal on the alumni. Our board state for boost is much better than our board state for damage.
Destiny is unswerving, cheated. We have each other's backs. That's more than most.
By your side, a pleasure, a privilege, an honor.
And that just kind of helps keep things going here. That's a wild play. We have to protect that, so sort of changes things a little bit. What we could have done as well is maybe take casting. like use it on one of the other cards, take casting on the alumni, and go from there. But this way, at least they don't have the target for the Maruna right away. And we can just do a casting last say. So I wasn't anticipating this one to be like very close. Just sort of played it. I don't think you should underestimate. I think you should always just play it on the alumni. Casting on the Marines, not as prime. And I didn't know it was going to be this close. I really didn't. So we would have been able to save a few extra points had we played that card a little bit differently, but either way we got the win. Moving on to the next one. And this is where the matchups get a little bit more serious. The next 4 games in a row are going to be pretty try-hard games for them. So they're going to be a little bit more try-hard for me here too.
No one is born a mage. The vast majority lack even the potential.
So we'll find out pretty quickly if they're devotion. Most of the ones that I play against are devotion, so the Ursine can't get through this right away. But now they're non-devotion.
It hasn't backfired yet.
Good pull into Shani, just in case we lose a bunch of cards here. We have to kind of get our board state back for the patience. Tax Collector goes back there. So here's where I play. We could put it up there, but we can also sandwich it range row because we're probably not going to be using it this round. So we'll play a little sweatier here and just put it on the back row, get the immediate damage from that, and just not intend on using the order. And for good reason too. When Ursine comes down, that's a big spend. I don't have an immediate answer to it, but we can just keep going here. Playing into poison and bounty and all these potential things, we want to, I would say we want to focus more on damage. So we're going to keep cramming on the back row beside the Raffords and we should just be fine. Now we can probably just put down the defender.
Never need ask me twice.
What's great here is that they're going broke trying to remove some of these cards.
Nose, mouth, any hole.
Now I can't play the Spellweaver. I'm opting for the Winch so we can get this done quicker. You see what I mean? Makes a big difference here. I know they don't have the coin to take a Salamander or something like that right now, so they might go in for a poison on the 7, and then we still have room to get out of the round.
the innocent!
Shield, Defender, Poison, Bounty. That card's taking a beating. Better to be safe, I think. We still got Patience 5 and 2. 2's okay. We care more about the 5. And it's nice because Istredd's going to be able to help us pull those cards that we're looking for that we don't have. Our deck thins out pretty nicely if we get Raffords in round 1. You can see here we only have 9 cards left in the deck. Chapter of Wizard's a really good drive round pass. We could greed it sometimes and get 2 alumni, don't get me wrong, that's also a good play. But I think I just opt for it this way because we can take Shani and bring one back, then we can click and then bring out a second one, and then we've got a third one. You see what I mean? It's going to add up quite quickly. There's a fourth one that we have access to now because we just pulled into it. Casting contest resets one of them. Now, we really want those 2 cards. We really want Adalia, we really want the Gerhardt, so have to decide when we take our mulligans here. Maybe a Marine goes back, and I'm actually very happy with that. So, I want to click because if they go and they play something next round, or next turn, that's an engine, then I have that reach for removal. That was like a really good professor. We'll just take that here before they mess around too much with it, and just put down another one, get it ready. It would be a shame to lose one to something like a Payday or something inexpensive like that.
Where better to plot than in one's own lair?
Now, we want to get down the Istredd soon, because we have 6 cards in deck.
Go to hell, I ask you politely.
So let's get this patience up as much as possible. Maybe draw something that we missed. And so the peach just gets removed. Perfect fit. And I know they don't have the answer to these things, so we can play them a little bit safer. Shani's got a cooldown coming up. To get the most amount of points here, it's probably best to go and take the Amphibious though, because we're going to be playing some mages from our hand. So we'll be able to get the counter up a little bit. So Shirley, Saul, there's that. There's also Winch on Shanny, but here's the thing. We can actually put back Winch if we pull into something better.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
Yeah, I think we just take it. Maybe we put back the Marine, if anything.
Post. Bang. Kaboom. Shit, how'd that go?
Because if we put back Marine for Gerhardt, that's like a really good trade here. We have 2 leader charges left for the 2 alumni. And so that'll pull it. And that's like the perfect hand. So get rid of the spender, and there's actually a line where we can go and we can maybe look for like a Will-O-Wisp off of the Gerhardt. So if we're able to kill a doomed unit, then it makes a big play off the Savola combo. If we don't get that, we might get Artifact Compression, which plays really well in the King of Beggars or Siggy. So these are 2 things that I'm looking for here, which is why I decided to greed that card for 1 patience here. And sure enough, we get the Wisp, and just perfect timing for that. Huge card, right? We got the 7 points that it plays for normally, plus the removal of 12. Then we just take this here, play that. And this game wasn't very close. I had to turn it up a little bit for you guys. Once I got the practice games in, the first 3, we're looking at playing a little bit better here. And this does it by about 20 points. Moving on to the next one, we have Carapace. A lot of people are playing Kelly lately, so it's only fair that we show a Kelly matchup here. And you'd think that this would be one of the harder ones, but they have a lot to deal with, and if the alumni can get through the defender and stuff, it's really nice. And the line with the Gerhardt on the Will-O-Wisp is huge. I feel like I've been drawing into the Will-O-Wisp consistently. So when they bring back the Kelly defender combo, then it's going to definitely really help us, because we can eliminate one of those threats just with the 1 card, and then we can try and take out the other one with some of the alumni.
It hasn't backfired yet.
And for that reason, I play on melee. And I didn't want to boost it, but I had to boost it. We want to play around any sort of bomb or anything like that. Kelly comes down here. That's unfortunate. Kelly's gonna chew through us here. So I guess they're just depending on us not having access to duels or playing duels. They're correct. I have a feeling that we're probably not going to win the round. So I'm just playing a couple cards. I want to start getting some patience. That's the problem, is we don't want to pass early. So we'll play it down. We'll see how it looks, maybe with 5, 6 cards in hand. We'll go from there. There's consideration to just play our Marines and play our Winches. because that's going to help keep a little bit of unit contrast on the board.
My duty.
Dumping bronzes is not bad though either. So we'll just go through the motions of dumping these bronzes and our specials. So I believe that they would punish the damage before they punish the boost. So I opt to boost the range first. And we'll just go again. We could play this game a little bit, but we can't play it for long. And that's kind of the part where they push us out, because we'd have to play to 3 to get ahead here, I believe. It's just not worth it, but we did get the patience we're looking for, so it makes a huge difference for late game. And we have to fully expect that they're going to bleed here in round 2. Oh no. So they're really going to ruin my odds here of getting good cards. Do we ever just play an alumni and get rid of that now? We kind of have to. If we don't answer that, then we don't get that good pullback when they do the whole Kelly pullback swing. Also, Shani is kind of in trouble at that point. So we want to play as many units as we can. Xavier and Squirrel. Because Xavier wasn't enough.
Sure, be glad to. Rubbish in, rubbish out. Pass and forget. Not
I think that's the right play. Here comes the Parasite. We are staying ahead, and so far they're going to be pulling back 2 not so great cards for us. So we kind of want to play some good cards here, because if we're going into a round 3, we want to have some of these good cards come out for free. We just have to respect that right away. So now they have their trio. And into next round, we should get some good cards too here, right? We have potentially the Alumni, the Defender, and the Shani. You don't really need Letitia in round 3, especially because we can't even bait removal because they've already used kind of like the target removal for it, being the Parasite. So we'll just go ahead and play cards, and that's unfortunate. I was expecting anything but the ones that are kind of useless here. We're going to get a card on melee that's just going to play for 4 points.
If only they knew.
And that's one of the risks you run when you play this card. But we did get a perfect swing here. And hopefully, yeah, at least that gets clipped. So, we're in a little bit of an awkward spot, and so we can figure this one out. We need to get that Gerhardt down ASAP. So I'm thinking about, do we take Alumni first? Do we take that first? Because the problem is, we just don't want to have that Alumni chewed through, but we don't want to use it yet, because if we use it on the Defender, then we're taking away value from our potential Willow. So that's why I'm conflicted on this turn here, but we're roping we gotta play. And yeah, deciding to take it. I think we do click everything we've got. And I throw this here because I'm hoping it gets chewed through. What? You should probably take the Spellweaver.
Don't make me laugh.
And we just lose that. Now we have to play mad. So I can remove, there's a couple options here. So I'm opting for Kelly because I don't think that the series is as important. But we could have had Ciri Nithral there too. I just think that Kelly would be playing for too many points if we let it go untreated for this many turns. Now, they can't boost both of them, which is nice. So that tells me we can let Ciri go, and we can just play around the Nithral here. And that should be fine. So I believe that even if the Ciri goes off here, it's not really much of a contest. Trying to decide what the most points would be. I think we just take the damage here. Couple turns of patience. That's a problem though, because we don't have, we're going to be one short. So Spear Tip lives. That was a good timing for that.
They're surprisingly clean creatures, as it happens.
Almost forgot it was the last turn. Here, we'll go ahead, take everything we've got. Doesn't matter where we use it at this point. We were pretty good at saving leaders, so now we have to plant this for damage. They get the 2 points off the pig for 2 turns plus the Spear Tip, but seeing that, I don't feel too worried. I know that they probably can't do the points. Yeah, that'll just be good. Moving on to the next one, the intro got cut off here, forgot to hit record. However, we got Ursine Ritual. The nice part about this matchup here is that we can keep pace with them pretty well if we play into the Raffords. We've got a lot of bronzes to play from hand, so if they don't answer that, we have really good engine value from that. So just play the Spellweavers every time we get the cooldown here. Their front row's filling up really quick, which is great. Megascopes. I want to get both of these out. And I'm deciding that I want to actually use the damage in this matchup. There might be kind of something annoying, like a quarrel or a blue boy or something like that that we want to get rid of. I also want to play around like a huge Ursine or something like that on the back row, because I've been playing against what looks like Lippy decks that has Ursine in some cases. And it survives. So all we want out of this round is for our cards to live. That's it. Just live long enough to get the payoff for later. I don't want to actually kill something on their side, because we just want to have, obviously, the board fill up. Right now, at least. That's a good snipe. At least we have a second one. So we could... yeah, we could just play. That should just be fine.
It will not be.
Go ahead, stare at the stump again, see what happens.
Pretty cozy lead still.
As you command.
I just don't want any nonsense where they have the ability to, for example, heal the blue boy and then just repeat damage off of it. I've seen some versions doing that. So we got it to 5, which is good. I'm a little bit conflicted because there's not a lot that I want to play here. This doesn't do a whole lot for me. We don't really want to put one of the Spellweavers back in my deck.
Get to clean up ahead of class.
I think we just let everything sit. And we got the pass. That's pretty good. So, it was a little bit costly, but it's still very good. We can go and pass in round 2. Get the card advantage for round 3. And then I feel like all the points that they work to put together, you know, for the big deck recycle, it won't matter as much. They opt for the flip on the pass, that's fine. And so they drew into bricks. I like to see that.
No one is born a mage. The vast majority lack even the potential. That might even be amusing.
not get in the way of me axe.
You've met your match, puppet.
So I'm relying on a 50-50 here with the Burna. But you know our luck's never that good, right?
I studied my whole life through, yet here I am digging ditches.
They dome that. We gotta start playing cards here. Suppose we take Spellweavers in this case. We've got a few that we can play, right? The casting contest makes it so that we're replaying them.
We have each other's backs.
Now we don't want to kill the Morkvarg because it doesn't have Doomed. It'll come back. Gotta be careful about that one. I think we just have to start sinking damage in here. So we'll hit Burna. Just kill that off, I guess. Keep it clean.
For the clan! For Skellige!
I want to try and get Shani, but it's probably better that we take the John first.
Dark clouds gather over Temeria.
They do not fall! Why do they not fall?
And we don't want to hit the blue boy because we take damage there. We'd have to hit it and take the 2 damage at least once and then be able to get the death blow at the Spellweaver, so it's not really worth it. Just tuck back some of the stuff I don't think we need.
Take care of your blades and they'll take care of you.
I took Defender because I think we could save points on a Heat Wave or something if they have one.
Nothing you choose dare not mock mine.
Any last words?
But that's just fine. Like, Ursine is okay here, but we didn't really go the boost route. If we were playing all in range, we probably would have had some trouble. I'm just showing you guys here, like, we still had a leader charge, we still had the order on the student. Wasn't too close. This would be the game to go to pro rank. And so when I see that, I don't think it's Lippy per se. I think it's more of like a self-loom type deck. play it down here, start getting these engines going. We don't really want to hit
If only they knew.
the ones, but we know that they're going to anyways. Melicine's pretty gross here. Not much we could do about that.
Me? Never need ask me twice.
So definitely going all South Wound here. I want to keep some cards alive. I think it's very important. So we can go take Marine, play it to the right, boost the one, keep it going, stay ahead. Be nice to get the Letitia going as well. But we also need to get the other student online too, so we can get Zeal for the alumni. So that's also an issue. We might have to take John into Amphibious here to do that.
Seen it all already, and then some.
Dark clouds gather over Temeria.
Wager I can cast from with me foot.
So we do put them in a pretty awkward spot. The same way that we're getting carryover here, I can see that they're getting pretty good carryover on the Melusine. So by the end of this round, it's going to be actually a pretty big threat.
Poor bees they who have no knowledge.
With dignity.
Now we can finally get this online here, see if it makes a difference for us.
We shall do it my way.
This rain is actually a pretty big setback.
Nothing like some overseas plunder.
3 turns, going to be 6 damage. Front row is going to be 2 damage. I'm opting for an early Letitia just because I'm trying to decide, okay, where's our actual way out of the round? We kind of want to know when it's time to quit.
Destiny is unswerving. Cheated.
So at least get a little bit more carryover than having to play down further than what we want to be able to click that. But just thinking back to the game, we're in a pretty good state to try and win the round. So there's an argument to maybe hold another turn there.
Drown yourself with those damn nets.
Yeah, seeing cards like Truffle come down, it kind of makes me want to play a little bit more. Take the round so that we don't have to play into Truffle round 2, or at least get out Sunset here. So, I would have, yeah, held Letitia to at least this turn. Maybe the extra turn, get the extra 2 patience for the 2 that we have out there, or the 3 now in this case.
I fish breath? How dare you, foes
Now, I would normally pass here. But I felt like since we do have this crazy worked up boost that we can go in with, and the rain kind of stopped on one of the rows, we might be able to establish our own carryover and maybe use their truffle for them to win round. Or try to win round.
But we shall prevail.
I think Alumni is fine. Yeah, this is where we kind of have to force it a little bit more. So we will get the Vildkarl flip. We do have the rain for 2 more turns. We have really good alumni value here.
That's more than most.
To die by your side, a pleasure, a privilege, an honor.
And we'll just take one away for the bonded. I have a lot of confidence in the card advantage with things like Shani and then the extra alumni and casting.
That might even be amusing.
That's one thing that I realized with this this deck here. It's definitely, well, they have to click that. Or just do that. So they save truffle.
We saw their cities, delicate as if woven from the morning mist.
We just boost something that we don't really care for as much. But yeah, that's the problem with playing this deck, is that you want to hold on to things as long as possible, but then sometimes you have to lose patience to kind of readjust, and then overall the value that you would have had might not be as much, but you just have to deal with that. So 2 castings in deck is great. It's a really good hand. We pass here on the Mushy Truffle. Seeing blue boy on a pass is crazy, so they must have had maybe like access to the Malacine or something like that, or just 2 specials, right? Maybe Fukusha and Sigdrifas or something like that. The student is not really good here. That's a bit better. We get the boosted one. I think that's probably the best hand that we're going to be getting here.
Stars are all the trophies I need.
I am here to lend
So that's not really a threat just yet.
A drop of knowledge can overpower even a sea of strength.
Again, I don't think neither of them are super big threats as of yet. We'll just use that in case they have removal for the 5. Some more Vark from hand. It could be one of those things where they lead her off to kill it, bring it back kind of thing, so we have to be careful about that. That's just a nice clean removal. But I'm feeling pretty confident about the outcome of this game already. We have the Shandy that's going to bring out an alumni, then we're going to be able to reset the alumni twice. Every time we basically reset them or whatever, we're going to be getting, yeah, tons of value there.
Be glad.
8 points of removal. I think we just take that on the 4 while we can. So I was expecting maybe Fukusha into Melusine here, but seeing Melusine just come out like that's fine. We have tons of reach. And this is just for you guys. Can't afford to make any mistakes. It's a pro game too, right? We have to just kind of play it smart here round 3, so I'm sorry till the very end. Good game, Black Coffee. And yeah, to show you guys some of the video, we did it. We went from the end of rank 2 to rank pro in this video with mages. Something I haven't played, but I really enjoyed it.